and welcome to session 7 of the Wellbeing journey. After today, we've only got one more session, and I hope your journey has been as exciting as mine and that you are finding some breakthrough in your life. But today we're focusing on financial well-being. Now, this is an area that can just often get swept under the carpet. Maybe you're feeling like you're struggling right now and you've just got enough to get by. Or perhaps you feel like you're very comfortable with where your finances are at and you feel like you're flourishing. But no matter what your financial situation, our attitude towards money and finances can have a profound effect on our overall well-being. Speaking of money, I've got a little surprise for Simon back in the studio.
Right. Why is there a post-it note with my name on it? Oh, what? A whole pile of bills for me. Ha! Oh, what? I don't know what you're laughing at, Josh. Right, okay, crew, gag, yeah. Give the bills to me, think I've got to pay it, and actually, I don't think even you're behind it, actually. That is Joanna. This has got her name written all over it. Okay, Thomas, calm down, because I don't know about you, but there are times in life when we just get one of those unexpected bills that just comes out of the blue. It lands on our doormat, we're not expecting it, or an expense that we hadn't planned for, we've suddenly got to pay for. And it can be a really shocking moment, especially if we don't have the budget for it. It can lead to a lot of stress and anxiety as well. And in this session, it's all about giving us a better understanding of our finances and what we have at our disposal. We want to try and help you think about your money a little bit better, and also how you can be both sensible but also generous with the resources you have at your disposal. As for me, I don't think this is a particularly generous gag. So, Joanna, hello.
Sorry, Simon, I'm a little bit busy right now. I'm in rugby with Roy Crown, who heads up Hope Initiative. How are you doing, Roy?
You're not just in rugby, you are in rugby school.
Ooh.
Which you may be wondering why you just threw a rugby ball at me. It's because on that piece of turf or green, the rugby pitch, this is where rugby started.
That's incredible. But Roy, today we are focusing on financial well-being.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about, I know there's a story behind this school. Tell us about you.
There is a story behind the school because linking to finance.
Yeah.
Because there was a grocer who was local called Lawrence Sheriff, and that grocer did really well. So well, in fact, that in the City of London there were livery companies that looked over certain areas. He became the head of the livery company for grocers. Did so well, but thought, I need to give back. So he set up some almshouses for the poor, for widows, for orphans, but he also set up this school because he wanted kids that were from a poorer background to get educated so that their lives could change. So when finance is on our agenda, we can do so much with it when we've got the right attitude towards it. And we have a generous heart and a generous spirit. And finance is just something that God gives us to steward. It's not ours, but we can either make it a blessing or it can destroy our well-being. And we're going to be looking at how it can transform our well-being rather than destroy our well-being.
That is so good. I didn't know that about this school. Did you
Yeah.
say you learn something new every day? Let's play, come on.
Okay, now, big one,
Yeah.
over there.
There we go, come on,
Come.
let's go. Hey, yeah, I feel like a proper rugby player.
Well
Oh,
done.
very nice. Nice bit of rugby
Yeah, well,
playing
it's
there.
good.
So let's go and have a sit down and have a bit more of a
Yeah.
chat. I'm going to get rid of this ball. Send it to the producer. Catch! Okay, so Roy, how does God fit into all of this?
That's a great question because some people think God's only involved in our spiritual world. The reality is that God is involved in the material world. He created the universe. He's concerned about provision, is concerned about providing for us. So what we need to understand is financial well-being fits in with the purposes of God massively, but it also impacts on us.
And what about the way we think about money? How does that affect our financial well-being?
Massively. And there was a great 18th century preacher called John Wesley who said, earn all you can, give all you can, and save all you can, which is a great premise. But what he understood was that his finances and what God had given him, he was a steward of. He was to manage them. and the way we manage them will affect our well-being. And there's actually a statement that says you can either have a poverty mindset where you actually think, I'm so scared, what am I going to do? I'm fearful of the future, so I won't spend anything. Or I can have a materialistic mindset that says, I just get everything. I deserve everything. It's my turn. Neither of those are right. There's this great verse where Jesus talks about worry. And we worry about many things, but one of the biggest worries is finances. And it can consume us. So he starts by saying, don't worry. And then you can fear, and we have fear. And then he gives the antidote to that in verse 33 of Matthew 6, where he says, the way you deal with that is to seek first the kingdom.
Yeah.
And when you seek first the kingdom, all these other things will be given to you because God knows you need them. God is a God that will provide. God is a God that understands this. But what he doesn't want us to do is be consumed with finance, because when you are, it affects every area of our well-being. The Bible actually says it's more blessed to give than receive. Not conditionally so that I'll get more, but just because God knows that's good for our well-being.
Yeah.
Because what it shows is this finance is not controlling me. And I want to give. When I see a need, I give to that need. Generosity is a key to financial well-being. And it's not like, hey, you can have a lot of money and still not be generous. You can have little money and still not. It's not conditional on the amount you've got.
It's an attitude towards
It's an
it.
attitude towards it.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. So be generous.
Be generous.
Don't have a poverty mindset or a material mindset. Seek first his kingdom and be content with whatever he gives you.
Roy, that is amazing. I love chatting to you. My journey is only just starting on financial wellbeing. It's been really good to chat to you, Roy, but right now I'm heading over to Bradford. I'm here in Bradford, ready to meet John Kirkby, the founder of Christians Against Poverty, and I cannot wait to hear what he's got to say about financial wellbeing. Hi John, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Welcome, Joe. Welcome to Christians Against Poverty here in Bradford, our home.
Oh, it's so good to be here up north. So Christian Against Poverty, tell me, what inspired you to do this?
Yeah, it comes out of my own life journey, really. As founder, that's not surprising. So I had a very difficult early life, and then in the early 90s, through mistakes and business failure, plus just being useless with money, my life fell apart. I ended up living with my two little girls in one room, struggling to feed them, really in a desperate mess. But that was the moment when faith entered my life. Things began to turn around, and 4 years later, in my home office here in Bradford, with £10, me and Lizzie started Christians Against Poverty, and as you can see, it's got wonderfully out of hand.
That is incredible. I love hearing your story. Now, if you were to help somebody like me,
Yep.
not very
That's what
good
we do.
with money, what is the one thing you would tell me to do?
The answer is really simple. It's, do you have a budget? Have you sat down and literally worked out what your income is, what your regular expenditure, things that you need to save up for? A budget is the cornerstone of great finance.
Wow, okay, this is definitely things we're going to take away. So once we've got that budget,
Yeah.
so how then do we decide how to spend our money?
So you literally sit down and decide what's important to you. How you use your money reflects who you are and what is important for you. So if family and holidays are important, then you will budget towards being able to take them on holiday. If you want to save up for a house or you like cars, whatever you need will affect your budgeting. But it's about making decisions, and you must live within your means.
This is what I was going to ask you. So when it comes to sort of, buying something you like,
Yeah.
how do you feel about credit cards and things like that? Should we avoid credit cards? Should we just kind of know that we can pay for something?
Yeah, good question. I think for me, it's all about planning. So for instance, I use a credit card when I'm buying things. It gives you protection, but I always know where the money's coming to pay that credit card off. Where it becomes difficult is where it kind of gets completely out of hand, where really when you're buying things, you've no idea where is the money coming from. This is a life skill that really can make a difference.
That's amazing. Now, I want to see some more of Bradford. So, should we go for a walk and chat more about finance?
Absolutely, I love chatting about finance. Let's go.
So, okay, we've spoken a little bit about spending, but what are the kind of key things that I should take away when it comes to spending?
I think these days it is so easy to buy things, isn't it? Click, click, buy, click, click, buy. I think the most important thing is think before you buy. Do you really, really need this thing, or is this something that you want? Have you saved up for it? Do you have the money to pay for it? What impact is this purchase going to have on your budget? And if you could just apply that simple questioning to your budget, you will then find that your budget is in balance, and then you have the wonderful next journey, which is how you manage your savings.
Okay, so when it comes to saving, how much and how often should we be saving? Is there a percentage of what's coming in that we should save? How does it work?
Well, we're all individuals, so unfortunately or fortunately, it's down to the individual. As with budgeting and spending, it's what's important for you. So for instance, I've seen people save for things almost monthly. If you know that you're going on holiday next year, you need to start saving when you come back from this year's holiday. So that would be monthly savings for a specific item. I would always think that most people need a couple of months' salary really as a buffer, because you just never know what's going to happen.
Okay, well this is great stuff now, but I want to see a bit more of Bradford.
Yeah, come on, let's
Can
go.
lead the way. Now this is really beautiful.
Absolutely, beautiful Bradford.
Okay, so once we've got our spending sorted, our saving in order, what can we do with that money?
I think it's really, really important. For me and Lizzie, as Christians, we always knew that our faith really needs to reach our bank account. And whilst we are blessed and enjoy all the great things God gives us financially, we've always made sure that we have a sense of generosity at the very core of our budgeting, at the very core of our spending, and at the very core of our savings. Really, really important. In Proverbs 11 it says, "The world of the generous gets larger and larger, the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller." I believe those words are true today as they were when they were first written.
That's amazing. And so even if you feel like your world is relatively small right now, that you don't feel like you've got a lot, you can still be generous, can't you?
Generosity is not about how much. Generosity is a heart condition.
Yeah.
And everyone can allow Jesus to affect their heart and create generosity, particularly in our finances.
Brilliant. Okay, give us one thing to wrap up and just encourage us, for those who aren't really on the journey yet, that we want to get there. What would you say?
Please don't give up. When I look at my life and look at the mess I was in, look at how I had unmanageable debt, I didn't look after my money at all. Listen, if I can transform from that to where I am now, everybody can. Listen, it's a journey. If you start and fall back, if it's 2 steps forward and 1 back, never ever give up. And one of the beauties of finance is you can draw a line any time in your life and you can start again. So my inspiration and challenge to everybody is this stuff is really important. Start today. Do not give up. The fruit is massive, the future is fantastic, and no one is beyond the hope of getting their finances under control and seeing their lives transformed.
I love that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been so interesting chatting to John today. I know that finances are an area for me that I definitely need to work on. Being a freelance presenter, I never know what's coming in. I never know whether I'm going to earn or not earn. So I've shied away from budgeting, and John's made it really clear that it's something we definitely need to do. And it's like any other area of our well-being journey, it needs us to stop, take note of where we're at, and then do something about it. Now I'm off to meet Alan and Julie, a couple who have experienced firsthand the advice that CAP gives to those struggling with their finances. Alan and Julie, hi. Thanks so much for chatting to us. Why don't you tell us your story?
We got ourselves into financial lumber. We couldn't cope. We were getting very depressed. Things were starting to mount up, bills were mounting up. You know, all the letters, the phone calls, it got too much.
But the hardest bit of it was you were borrowing to pay off other creditors, having to borrow. And these payday loans, etc., they're a menace.
They're an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, so
But then I remembered that years ago, when on one of the big church day out, Christians Against Poverty, who were the main charity for that event, and it stuck in my head. And then suddenly it was, I've got to phone them. That was the start of the journey.
They worked out what we could afford to repay each month. They went to all the creditors and they worked out a plan for us. It took about 18 months, not 20 months to pay everything off, but you're now debt free.
Which is an amazing feeling, and we've learnt how to save a bit more money. While we were with them, they would save for us. So should any emergency come along, like the car needed something, and what was it, the washing machine, and so the money was always there to sort it out, which was fantastic. So we've stuck with that. That's a life lesson we've learnt. Learnt it the hard way. I will never again take a credit card. You know, it's all up front. If we can't afford it, we don't have it now. It's as simple as that.
And what does life look like for you now? How has it changed things for you?
It's amazing, isn't it?
It's like a huge weight off your shoulders.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, definitely. We could get up in the morning now and not worry about the day.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, what a journey they've been on. Now, Joanna's on her way back to the studio, but on her way, she's going to stop to chat with Irene.
Irene, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you. I'm just going to get myself a drink. What are you drinking? Do you want something?
I've got a lovely mug of hot water.
Hot water! Hot water!
Have I found a hot water fan? Yes,
So obviously you work in finance.
I do, yes.
You've got a lot of experience. You know money. Now, why is it important that we are generous?
For me, it all stems from the fact that I think God has been generous to me first.
Right.
When you stop and think, like, why am I doing this? I'm always reminded that God gave us, he was generous and gave us his son for literally nothing. We received that for nothing. And then everything that I'm given, my money, my time, the roof over my head, when I stop and think about it, that is a gift from God. So for me, it's so important to be generous as that reflects the nature of God. So I think it's important to do that to others as well.
And how can that impact us if we become generous people?
One thing that I found amazing in my kind of journey of managing my finances and being generous is how freeing it actually is. When you're starting out with giving, say, like slicing off some of your income and giving it out to others, that you're losing out. But in actual fact, I found it to be an experience where you kind of seem to gain back, and not necessarily financially, but just whatever happens inside in your heart as you are doing that, feels like I'm gaining something too.
Generosity, I guess, doesn't have to just be finances.
Not at
How
all.
can we be generous with other things in our life?
Yeah, and I'd say the one that I find really challenging is my time.
Okay.
Because I quite like to know what's happening when, if I've made a plan, I want that plan to go ahead. So if I feel I have to be generous with my time, it's unplanned and just doesn't really fit into what I want to do, that's really challenging. Putting yourself in the position of someone else, doing to others as you would want them to do for you, and giving whatever you have received to other people.
Yeah. Do you think we should be kind of intentional when it comes to our giving? Do you think we should plan to give? Do you think we should kind of almost like have like separate, set aside kind of time or money or whatever that we know that we're going to give people?
I think we should, and I think there's a bit of both. I love the spontaneous giving, and I love the, just spotted something, you don't have a lot of time to process and you just have to decide in that moment, what am I going to do? But at the same time, I love the intentionality of giving when I think of income and okay, I've got these expenses, I've got this thing I want to buy, and I've got this portion that I'm going to give, and committing to that at the beginning of the month, for me is a good way to manage my money, just knowing that that is coming out. But also secondly, it's that intention, it's the heart.
Brilliant. Irene, it's been really good to speak to you. Do you want me to top you up with some hot water?
Thank you. Yeah, mine's gone to like 90% hotness.
Yeah, I'm just going to make us some boiling hot water. And then I'm going to head off back over the studio. Thanks, Irene.
Thank you very much. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Bye.
Simon, what are you doing?
Talk to the hands.
You still can't move the seats.
What a funny gag. And the thing is,
Oh,
you
yeah.
may laugh, but I felt a lot of stress and anxiety over that for half a second.
I wasn't going to say sorry, but...
And what I've also taken away from this is trust nobody, including her. But on a serious note, you've spoken to some incredible people today.
Oh,
What
I
have you taken
really
away?
have. Gosh, I've been all over the place today. I loved chatting to John Kirkby. His story, his
He's
personal
amazing,
story
isn't
is amazing. I mean, the fact that he's really he's been through it himself. He's come right from, you know, as he said, like living in a bed set with his girls, starting that cap with £10, and now his life's completely transformed just by kind of being disciplined with his finances and having a plan. And I think, you know, for a long time, I just haven't really had a good plan with money. I haven't really budgeted well. And after chatting to him, I just thought, well, this is now something I have to do. It's a must do. Got to make some changes here. And then it frees you up. And then obviously I chatted to Irene and talked about how you can be generous. And actually, once I've planned with my finances and know where I'm at, even if I find that I'm in a bit of a bad state, then I can start doing something about it. And actually, when I've done that, I can actually be generous to people, which is ultimately, you know, it's incredible to be able to bless other people with what you've got. So it's been good.
It is, and at the heart of all this, of course, when it comes to our finances, we've got a favourite is trusting God and all this. And I'm just going to, as I leave, Joanna, trust you with this hotel bill that's got your name written all over it. Good luck.
Thanks, thanks for that. Anyway, now it has been an incredible journey today, talking about financial well-being, and wherever you're at, you know, whether things are good or whether things aren't, as we said right at the beginning, you know, I really want to encourage you that you can do something about your finances, and I'm going to be too. So can't wait to see what happens next.
Next week is our final week on this wellbeing journey. We'll be heading to Peterborough to talk to Dave Smith, and Leamington Spa in the heart of the country to hear from Jill Garrett on our vocational wellbeing. Join us then.
Well, thank you, Simon Thomas and the team at Wellbeing. Wednesday, I don't know about you, but I gleaned a lot of wisdom from some of those practical tips and ideas to really help us move forward when it comes to budgeting and moving out of debt. So that was really helpful. Now, I'm joined with two very special people on stage tonight. Joseph Zimmerman. He oversees all of our youth and does a fantastic job with his wife, Lizzie, and another special lady in our church, Angie Rushbridge, and she is part of CAP, Christians Against Poverty. Welcome, both of you. Are you good?
Very good, thanks. You?
Did you know what the colour of the chair was going to be tonight? And you thought,
I got a memo. They said make sure I wear something with mustard.
I'll put the Norwich City top of the league shirt on, yeah?
That'd be good. Yeah.
We are top of the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got the shirt.
Gonna stay?
Well, that's not what we're talking about tonight, Joseph. We're helping people, you know, release from poverty, not talking about football, but we can do that one next week. Sporting well-being. Should we do that one next week? Sport well-being. Who'd tune in for sport well-being? Okay, anyway, Angie, tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, welcome. You've been part of our church for a long, long time now, and we're so grateful for your investment and being here tonight. And I know some of the things you're going to say, both of you are going to really help people move forward in their financial well-being. So, Joseph, introduce yourself. Tell us your role outside of being the sole youth leader. And then, Angie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself as well?
Yeah, so my name is Joseph Zimmerman, and it's a pleasure to be here, so thanks for inviting me to be part of this. I'm now starting a new partnership, which is with Soul Foundation and Christians Against Poverty, so I'm overseeing all that. We're calling it Soul Restart, so I guess I'm the leader of Restart.
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 Like that. And you, Angie?
I'm Angie. I've been coming to Soul Church just over 5 years now. Married to Dave, 3 kids. Forgotten how many I got then.
It's all right, we do that sometimes.
3 grown-up kids, 2 grandchildren. And so I work up at head office in Bradford, as you saw in the video, at Christians Against Poverty. I'm part of the senior leadership team there. And my job title is really exciting. It's Director of Finance, Risk and Compliance.
Now, we just heard from John Kirkby, who's one of my heroes, because John Kirkby was one of the people who inspired me to run 7 marathons in 7 days, because he ran, I think, 14 or 15 in 14 days. I was like, so we had a conversation, but he's always been such an incredible leader. I know he's played a major part in your life as well, and so great to hear from him there. But tell us a little bit about yourself, your role at CAP, Christians Against Poverty, and what you feel are maybe the biggest threats to people's financial well-being at this time.
Yeah, well, I've had 2 roles at CAP. One was I was a debt centre manager here in Norfolk for 5 years, and then for the last 4.5 years I've been working up at head office. And it was John Kirkby's story actually that inspired me to join CAP. It was, if you're going to help somebody out of debt, the motivation behind it is just to get them introduced to the local church as well, and get them introduced to faith. And it was just an incredible privilege to work for CAP. One of the things, it's usually life circumstances that change that mean why people find themselves in financial difficulty. So that can be relationship breakdown, bereavement, job loss, redundancies. Obviously, we're seeing that now in this season. People who've never struggled with employment before are finding themselves out of work. Mental ill health is another big one. Around 60% of our clients are struggling with their mental health.
Would you say as well that it's kind of a vicious cycle as well? People then turn to addiction, so turn to other forms, whether it's addiction to a substance or gambling or one of those things in their moment of dire strait.
Sometimes for some people they try to medicate and try to just try to get through one day at a time. But for the majority of people, it's just sheer. Being afraid of answering the door, opening their mail, it just becomes overwhelming. And if you try and ignore your financial situation, it will just get worse and worse. And, devastatingly, we find that 1 in 3 of our clients, when they phone for help, are considering suicide. They're suicidal, and 1 in 10 have actually attempted suicide.
1 in 3 people who call you
are suicidal.
It's staggering.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what would you say, Angie, for you has been the best piece of financial advice that anyone has ever given you personally?
I'd probably go right back to when I got my first pay packet, and I took that home. I was living at home, and my dad said to me, you need to split your money into thirds. A third I paid to my parents for board and lodging, a third I could spend, and a third I could save. And I think that regular saving is just the key to long-term financial health.
The 3 jars, it was called when I was growing up. Why do you think there's almost this, this lackluster approach from education, growing up kids, where they don't get taught finance? Is such a key part of people's, and we get taught trigonometry and how to light a Bunsen burner at school, which is really helpful. But what do you think, why do you think it's not in the education system at grassroots?
Yeah, I think it's probably not cool enough for one thing. There's a whole lot of other things that seem more important. There's things like maths, there's things like English, and that seems like the mainstream focus in education, but nobody really thinks about doing a class on how to balance a budget or keep a credit card, or what even that looks like. I know for myself, when I was growing up, nobody taught me what to do with a credit card. Nobody taught me how to manage it, how to manage my money. So when I was an adult and living on my own and learning to do life as an adult, it caught me out, and it was quite difficult. So.
That's really insightful, Joseph. Angie, let me just bring it back to you. Why do you think, and I think especially in Britain, I've lived in the Southern Hemisphere in South Africa and Australia, my wife's from America, they've got a lot more of an open approach to money, but us Brits are pretty closed on it. Why do you think Brits, but in general people, find it so hard to come forward and talk about money, but also look for help in this area?
Yeah, well, we ask our clients that reason because we find that 1 in 3 clients wait more than 3 years before asking for help. And the main reasons are just embarrassment and shame. fear, and just thinking that they just can't be helped, that their situation is so bad, there is no way out, and they don't know where to go for help. And with debt, there is always a way out. There is always hope. You do need to get that help.
I think it's fantastic as a church, and the team are really wanting to help people in this area. And as a church, we want to always be helping people holistically, not just spiritually, but helping people physically, emotionally, but as well financially, and giving them the tools. And so this is why, about 6 months ago, Sam Mooney and I began to talk. Sam Mooney, heads up the foundation, said, what can we do to really help people break debt in their lives and give them a plan and a support? So this is why we're really launching this, and I know it's going to be a real help to many, but there's this stigma of, you've just said 3 years for someone to pick up the phone. Angie, what could you say to someone tonight who's maybe thinking, that's me? I know my income, or my outgoings are greater than my income, and I'm in debt and I'm in trouble. But what could you say to really help someone just to reach out?
I'd say if there's someone out there tonight that is in that situation, I would say, please pick up the phone. Please get that help. We're preparing at CAP and other organisations across this country for a tsunami of need because of, once government restrictions, once furlough, etc. ends, there is going to be an overwhelming cry for help. So please just pick up the phone. The sooner you get help, the sooner we can start to help your situation, the sooner you will realise that there is a way out, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will start to see your situation improve, dramatically quite quickly. So, and if you really feel like you're not able to make that call yourself, please confide in somebody that you trust. So a friend, a family member, or someone here at Soul Church that you can trust, and they will help you to make that call and to get the help that you need.
So good. All the ways to reach out are going to come up on the screen in the chat, so we'll make sure. Now, Joseph, what can someone expect if they reach out tonight, send an email, say, hey, I'm struggling, I'm in debt, I'm £10,000 in debt. What can they expect for, first of all, big well done for taking that step, but what can they expect next?
Yeah, I mean, if somebody reaches out and they're specifically struggling with debt, they feel like it's kind of overwhelming them, they're drowning in it, they don't have a way out, the best thing they can do is get in touch with CAP straight away. And what will happen from there is CAP will then put them in touch with one of the debt coaches who will be able to take them through all of the different things that they're struggling with, their credit card bills, all the other bills that have piled up. They'll then send that off to CAP head office, and they will look at a plan to help people get free from their debt. That'll then be delivered back to the client, and they'll go from there and working that out.
All the CAP details coming up on the screen as well. Angie, back to you. Talk to us about someone who's taken that first step, they've taken the second step, they've either contacted CAP or come directly through to Soul Church. How long, in your experience, does it take for someone to get healthy financially, on average?
Well, in order to get your finances back under control, that can become a fairly short space of time. So we would help you prepare a budget, and once you start living on a budget and you know that you've got money for food each week, you've got money for medication, petrol, the things that you need, and also in your budget we will build in a small amount of savings, and you'll start that regular saving habit, and then you'll find, when the washing machine breaks down or your car needs repairs, you've actually saved your own money that you can then go and pay for that. So you won't need to be reliant on food banks, or like Soul here, we've got the food distribution centre. You'll have your own budget, your own money prioritised for food, and once you can see that budget working, there's relief straight away, and there just is something amazing that happens. When you start to get your finances under control, that can impact the whole of your life. We've seen it, relationships get better, parents are more confident, it impacts the whole family. And then long-term solutions, so to get debt-free, it depends on each individual circumstance. It depends how much debt you owe, it depends how much disposable income you have after your main bills are paid, and it depends what route. So if you're going through some form of insolvency, it could be less than a year. If you're going through a repayment plan, it could be anything up to 5 years or more. But it's your unique circumstances and what fits best with you and your family.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a whole host of people watching tonight going, this sounds really good, love to be a part of it, but it's too late for me. I'm too far gone. Would you just speak just into that group of people? Because I know even in my life, you know, there's been times I feel like, yeah, I bet that works for them, but I feel like it's never too late to start. Would that be the right message?
Yeah, it's never too late. I mean, when I was a debt centre manager and I went into people's homes, sometimes you sit there in somebody's lounge and they would give you the eviction notice or the repossession notice on their house, and even then, it's not too late. We can get involved. You get this thing called breathing space, where you get a period of time when you can, if you're seeking financial help, regulated financial help, you get some space to get your budget sorted. We speak to your creditors on your behalf. We make those phone calls for you. We make those arrangements, and you start to see things, change for the better. So never too late, but the sooner you ask for help, the better, and probably the easier the solution is.
So good. All right, I'm going to finish with asking you both the same question. Start with you, Joseph. What's the most rewarding part about your role in this, and what you love to see happen after people sign up and be part of this program?
Yeah, for me, it's seeing people and hearing people's stories after they've received help. We run a jobs club as well, which helps people find work. So they might have been out of employment for a long time, or they might have been, just kind of entering the workforce for the first time. But it's seeing people tell their success stories. We just had a course on Thursday, and right after the course, one of our participants on the course, he called me up and he said, "Hey, I've got this interview coming up that is my dream job. It's a perfect opportunity." And he was so excited, and to hear the excitement in his voice and the happiness of kind of seeing his hard work come to fulfillment. And then he texted me after the interview and told me how it went and everything. So it's those types of stories that really get me excited.
You, Angie?
Yeah, I've got loads of stories because, as I say, I went into the homes of hundreds of clients here.
Tell us one. Come on, tell us one story, a really good one.
Trying to think, there are so many. On the first visit, you would go into somebody's home and literally they could not even look you in the eye. They just, shame, ill health, different things. And gradually, as you show them the budget, you go back the next week with the budget and you show them the plan. And you say, like, you've got this for food, you've got this for this, this for this. And they see it work and they start to see a way out. And you see their whole lives transform. And the next time you go in, they're standing tall. And then you hear them become debt-free. And we celebrate every person that becomes debt-free at head office. So our 350 staff are there with harmonicas, and we blow our harmonicas and we celebrate.
Wow.
There's lots of people every week, thousands of people every year become debt-free for our work, and we're there cheering them on. And one story that I really love, I still bump into my clients, they're debt-free, their houses that were going to be repossessed, they're living in them, their lives have changed, and it's the impact on their families as well. So their kids learn how to budget and finance. And there was a couple that they were still going through their debt plan, so they were still living on quite a tight budget, but they couldn't wait to tell me this story. They went to a petrol station, and they were just filling up their car, and somebody on the next pump put £10 in their car. And if someone just puts £10 in their car, they probably haven't got a lot of money, have they? Because £10 doesn't buy you much fuel. They were behind this chap as he went to pay, and his card got rejected. And the son of my client nudged his dad, and he's like, "Let's pay it for him." And they just paid this guy's petrol. Wow. And so even while they were struggling, but they had their savings and their budget, they were able to bless someone else, and they paid his fuel, which obviously he was absolutely delighted and couldn't believe it. And they just said, "God bless you. We've been blessed here. Let us bless you."
That's awesome.
I love that. I love what you're saying here, guys, because you're saying the goal isn't just to release people from debt. It's actually to take them on a journey of generosity. So they go from being, over their head in debt, almost feeling suicidal, a lot of them, 1 in 3, even attempting 1 in 10, to breaking out of poverty into, I now want to help others break out of poverty. And I think that is the message of Jesus, isn't it? It's not just, it's to help others find the good news once we found the good news. So Joseph, Debt Club is one of the areas we run, but tell us about a couple more exciting initiatives that we're running under this new ministry.
Yeah, so Soul Restart is more than just the debt help. The debt help is probably the most in-depth. That's where someone will come into someone's house and really help them with their specific situation. But there's a couple group courses we run as well. So if you're watching and you're thinking, well, I'm not in mountains of debt, but I'm also not all that great with my finances, we've got something called the Money Course. And Angie's actually going to be running the Money Journey course. It's a 3-week course starting on the 11th of March in the evening, on a Thursday evening. And that helps you with budgeting. It helps you with just planning your finances and making sure that you've got all the right kind of financial practices in your life. So I'd really recommend that. You can sign up by emailing us at info@soulfoundation.org.uk. And then we've also got the Jobs Club, which is something I run on a Thursday morning. And we've got courses that run throughout the year. It's an 8-week course, and it helps you learn the skills and the things that you need to find a job and to get employment. And then, of course, there's Debt Help, which you can sign up to that. If you go to capdebthelp.org, that's the best way to sign up to the Debt Help specifically, which is mostly what we've been talking about tonight.
And obviously all the courses right now run virtually.
Yes, it's all on Zoom.
It's all on Zoom. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I love the name, Soul Restart.
Yeah.
What a great name.
It's good.
Yeah, kick off.
That
Fantastic.
was Sam Mooney. He dreamed that one up
Sam
himself.
Mooney.
Yeah.
He does come up with good things
good.
now and then.
Yeah.
He's a good lad. I've been encouraged tonight. Thank you so much, both of you. Angie, I'm going to ask you to pray for those. I'm going to ask you to pray for courage for people, because I know for some this is a really big moment in their life, and it's to acknowledge their need for help. And we've all been there. Pride often stops us picking up the phone, sending the email. So I'm going to ask you that you'll pray for courage, and we're going to come into agreement here. And for those who are watching who maybe aren't struggling in this area, I want you to pray. And, let's believe God. Let's believe God that we're going to hear stories. And we're going to hear stories as Joseph and Angie and the team here at Soul and Cap partner together. We're going to hear stories of literally hundreds, if not thousands of lives over the next few years are going to be restored and released from this trap of poverty and debt. Over to you, Angie.
Let's pray. Yeah, Father God, I pray right now, Lord, would you just give, if there's people here watching or listening that are struggling with debt, Lord, would you just give them that strength and that courage to pick up the phone, to ask for help, to maybe speak to their partner or a trusted friend and get the help that they need. Lord, you are just so amazing, God. You can give us that courage that we need. You can lift our heads, and Lord, you can give us that hope to get our finances into order, Lord. There is always hope. There is always a fresh start, just like the gospel, Lord. There is forgiveness of sin. There's forgiveness of debts available to us. Lord, I pray, would you bless our finances, Lord? Would you help us to get our budgets in order, Lord? Would you help us prioritize sorting out our finances? And Lord, I just, look forward to that day when we celebrate the stories of hearing people who have become debt-free, who've become released from that burden of debt, who are able to spend their weekends just spending time with their families and not worrying about the bills and not worrying about trying to put food on the table. Lord, we can't wait for stories of financial situations turned around. So we commit ourselves to you, Lord. We commit our community to you, those that are in desperate need. And we just pray, Lord, would you do more than we can even imagine? In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Angie. And thank you, everyone who's watched this evening. I think we need to get ourselves some harmonicas.
Yeah.
For the office. Maybe some vuvuzelas.
I reckon.
We could be different. Do you know what a vuvuzela is?
No.
It's a big, long horn that makes a lot of noise. So,
like a shofar.
No, we're not going to get shofars, but we could do the vuvuzela.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a vuvuzela is, Google it. Okay, but I think it's great to make some noise when people set free from debt. So fantastic. That was awesome. I felt God's presence here as we were talking about that, and I know it's going to help a lot of people. So thanks for joining us. Would you do me a favor? If you were watching tonight and went, hey, that's not necessarily for me, but I do know a whole lot of people that could help, would you share it on YouTube, Facebook? Just share the link. Let's spread it as much as possible. And it's not just for people in Norfolk. If people are watching from all over the UK, you're saying, hey, I know someone in a different city. Hey, I know CAP, want to help. CAP's whole mission is to help as many people as possible in poverty and in debt. So let them know it's never too late. That's the message now. Tonight, it's never too late. And we believe in you, and we're going to cheer you on as you come at us. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight. Hope you've got a lot from it.